Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Tech Conversations. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to check out LuxAlgo. LuxAlgo is the #1 agent to find strategies, powered by some of the best trading indicators and used by over 15,000 traders, including myself. And we'll actually cover one of their premium indicators later on in today's video. But right now, if you sign up to LuxAlgo by using my link in the description below, you can get up to 45% off with their fall flash sale. And keep in mind, you can actually get 30 days risk-free, so why not try them out? So go ahead and check out LuxAlgo. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Also, make sure to check out the Discord, completely free to join. I'll put a link to it in the description below as well. We're almost at 8,000 members, so thank you to everyone that's joined the Discord. Now let's get right into today's video. So today, I want to talk about a signal for SPY, or the S&P 500 index, that is flashing right now. And it may be the biggest signal that we have seen in 25 years. So today I'll explain everything to you guys. And as a disclaimer, remember that past performance does not guarantee future results, so things may very well be different this time, but you should at least be aware of this signal or indicator and make your own assessment on the matter. Now let me first give you guys a quick recap of the week, because it was another crazy week in the stock market. So firstly, SPY hit a new 52-week high this week. And more importantly, it hit an all-time high. So if you take a look here on Friday, SPY ended up hitting 672.68, the all-time high for SPY. And so now year to date, SPY is up 13.6%. In the last year, it is up 18%. And in the last 5 years, it is now up over 100%. That is crazy. Now let's also take a quick look here at the Fear and Greed Index. So remember, the Fear and Greed Index is a way to gauge stock market movements and whether stocks are fairly priced. So the theory is based on the logic that excessive fear tends to drive down share prices, and too much greed tends to have the opposite effect. So if you take a look here, the reading is 54, which puts it in the neutral zone. So there's no fear or greed right now according to this. It's kind of all perfectly balanced. And this is made up by 7 different indicators here. So you can actually take a look at all the indicators that make this up. So we have the market momentum indicator, the stock price strength indicator, and some of these other indicators here that you can look at here. And remember, we can also take a look at the timeline to kind of see how this has changed over the past year here. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to TradingView. Let's take a look at the chart here for SPY. So here we are on TradingView, and as you can see, we're looking at SPY, and we are on the monthly chart here. Now, we're going to switch over to the weekly chart, but I wanted to show you an interesting fact here on the monthly chart. So notice that so far in October, we are green here. And so SPY is on track for its 6th consecutive green month as of right now. This would be its longest winning streak since 2021. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Now let's switch on over to the weekly chart here. So here we are on the weekly chart. We're going to start here, but let me first show you one of LuxAlgo's premium indicators, their signals and overlays indicator here. So here we have the indicator on the chart. Let me show you some of the features that this indicator comes with. So firstly, this indicator comes with confirmation and exit signals. So confirmation signals, which are denoted by these green and red boxes here, aim to confirm any potential action a trader might take and are more effective when used in confluence with other features. There are also exit signals denoted by these X's you see here. These aim to help traders find areas to consider exiting a position based on a previous confirmation signal. So for example, we had this confirmation signal here. So let's say you went long here, this here could potentially help you find an area to potentially consider exiting that position. We also have the smart trail, which is this blue and red shaded zone here. So an uptrend is indicated when the price is above the smart trail, and a downtrend when price is below the smart trail. We also have reversal zones. So those are denoted by these red and green zones here. And so each zone is designed to help the user find potential tops and bottoms. And there's more features to this, so go ahead and check out LuxAlgo. I'll put a link to them in the description below. But let's go ahead now and let's remove this indicator. And let's go ahead and start right here. So let's zoom out a little bit here. So notice here that we have a chart pattern already drawn. So we actually talked about this chart pattern in the last video I made covering technical analysis on SPY. You can go ahead and watch that video if you wish. But this chart pattern is a well-known chart pattern. It is called an ascending channel chart pattern. This is a bullish chart pattern, and it will appear during uptrends, and you can identify it by two parallel upward sloping lines. So here's the first line, here's the second line. They're both sloping upwards, and they're both parallel to each other. Now remember, trend lines are drawn by connecting higher highs and higher lows. That's what we did here. So we started here back in 2020. Since 2020, what has SPY been doing? It's been making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, so on and so forth. And so we connected some of these higher lows, some of these higher highs here, and we formed these two trend lines here. Lower trend line was acting as an area of support, upper trend line was acting as an area of resistance here. Now, there's a few ways to trade this chart pattern, right? Some people will look for opportunities to buy at support, or some people will look for opportunities to short at resistance. So for example here, others will look for a breakout, which in this instance is what happened here. Where is the breakout? Right here. We can see it started breaking out. And again, we talked about this in that previous video where I covered this. Now, there is a much bigger ascending channel chart pattern than this one, and that's what I want to share with you guys here today. So I am going to switch over to SPX, the S&P 500 index itself, because SPY only goes back to 1990s when it was created. So let's go over to SPX here now. So here's SPX, and as you can see, right, this goes all the way back to 1871. So here we are on SPX, and notice we're looking at the 3-month chart here. So I want to make that clear. We're on the 3-month chart here. So we are zooming out quite a bit. Secondly, I will let you know here, we are looking at the logarithmic chart here. We're not looking at the regular chart. We're looking at the log chart here. Now I won't get into every single detail about what the log chart is, but just know it is very important for trading, and perhaps the only way to fairly represent charts over long periods of time. Otherwise, the chart would look like vertical line, literally just a line going up. And so that's why we use these log charts here. And so as you can see, I have already drawn one of the trend lines, the trend line for support. So you can see we have a few touches here. This was back in 1932, touches here, right, in like 1940s, almost a touch here, kind of close to 1950, kind of almost got close there, and as you can see, it hasn't really gotten close to it since then, thankfully. And so we already have this trend line drawn here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clone it here. So if I right click, I can click on clone. I'm going to drag this trend line to the top here. So something like that right there. Now, we see here, right, this trend line I just drew, which is the one for resistance, the top trend line here of the ascending channel chart pattern. we see that one of the tops here, before it pulled back all the way to the bottom trend line here, was right here. This was in 1929. What happened in 1929? The Great Depression. We also see another top here before it did quite a big pullback. When was this? 2000. This was the dot-com bubble. And now look at where we are at right now in current time. We are right at the top of the channel once again after 25 years. Now imagine that we break out of this channel, which has been there, right? This chart pattern, which has been there for almost 100 years. We've been trading inside this ascending channel chart pattern for almost 100 years. So imagine we break out of this to the upside here. That would be insane. And I could see the S&P 500 going much, much higher in that situation. Now on the other side, if there's too much resistance here, and if this resistance continues to hold, right, we could start to see the S&P 500 stall and perhaps even have a pullback here. How much? It's anybody's guess. But I will let you guys decide what you think will happen here. I just wanted to share this with you guys. So let me know in the comment section below. Do you think we have a breakout out of this chart pattern? Or we will pull back? Are we going to pull back and stall here? Right? We saw that here. This was 2021 here. And of course, we saw it here. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Check out the Discord, link to that in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time.